Thank you very much, Mrs. Aaron. Let me say pleasant good morning to the media in here. And of course, let me recognize the presence of Honorable Reginald Austria, the Minister for Housing, Land and Water Resource Management, Mr. Hirian Jules, who is the Housing Manager, and of course with us, Mr. Bernard Lloyd, who is the Senior Property Valuer in the Ministry. I want to say it's a pleasure for us to be here. We know that housing is a very important subject matter. It's a basic need. It's a fundamental human right. It's a social priority, and it's also a serious economic factor in our whole development. We have been through quite a tremendous amount at this point. As you know, we have three distinct stages of the entire response to Tropical Storm Maria. We have the relief, the recovery, and of course, the reconstruction. As you will well imagine, there is no static or definite end to any of those processes, since that the relief and recovery will happen almost simultaneously. So this morning, we will seek to give you some sort of background in terms of the effect of the damage of Hurricane Maria on the entire building sector, more so the residential housing sector, the impact, and of course from the impact we'll consider the consequences, and from the consequences that will of course inform government strategy and our whole policy formulation and action plan going forward. And of course, we on the technical side will seek to give you a very good appreciation of the impact of the damage on our housing stock in Dominica. And Mr. Jules has been our focal point in the ministry in interfacing with the various partners, especially the humanitarian groups from the global community, and of course the other humanitarian group locally. Mr. Bernard Lloyd is our property valuer, so of course he will talk on the issue of property cost and valuation. Of course, we will recall that the impact of Maria has been very tremendous on the housing stock of Dominica, since that about 90% of our buildings were affected in one way or the other. We have gone through some basic classification to give you the idea of the level of damage that we have sustained, and we have categorized them, of course, into no damage, in which we have about 10% of costs. Those that were slightly damaged, meaning that we have maybe about just between 10 to 30% of the roof sheetings being affected. We also had the issue of those that are moderately damaged. And by moderately damaged, what we mean is that at least 50% of the roof sheeting would have been gone from the building. And of course, we would also have another classification where we say of highly damaged, in which case the entire roof structure would have been gone or blown away. That is the roof sheetings, the rafters, the pole line, and in some instances, even the roofing plates. Added to that, we'll have issue with the walls of some of the buildings, and of course the windows and doors. Completely damaged, we have to the tune of about 15%, and of course highly damaged, which is the highest level of form of destruction that we had, which is about 40% of the housing stock. We have been able to do the estimation so far, the preliminary valuation that we have come out with thus far is that we have suffered damages to the building to the tune of about $1 billion EC. And as you know that we have to build back with greater resilience, and we know that it has been very well championed from the very top, from the Prime Minister, and almost most of his brethren have made it abundantly clear that we're going to take the opportunity to build back better, and that will mean a higher level of resilience in our buildings. So clearly, there will be a difference between the damage and what the actual cost of repairs and replacement. And we have seen so far from our calculations, we have about $500 million will be needed in terms of the making provisions for increased resilience in the building park. So we're looking at a total for the housing sector of 1.5 billion EC dollars. Without further ado, I will allow the minister to give us, of course, government perspective. We know that we have gone so far with partnering with some of our various government institution and local government as well in seeking to bring relief to the communities. We have gone through the phase so far where we had to provide tarpaulins and other means of shelter and comfort to the people. And we are also going to the phase right now of recovery, where we are working very tirelessly with the various social agencies of government, i.e. the Ministry of Social Services and of course of Education, where we are seeking to ensure that the persons within the shelters are accommodated with the repairs of the home so that we could free up the schools so that the schools could be used for the full recommencement of teaching classes to the school students. So I'll now ask the Minister to give us some of the government policy directive going forward and his own comments and feedbacks on where we are so far. Honorable Austri.